I have done the complete reverse engineering of this instrument, the compass and gyro indicator. You have on the screen the complete schematics of this instrument. On the left here, there is the power supply transformer. This is this transformer here. I had to remove it in order to do the reverse engineering. The secondary of this transformer is fed to two diodes in order to have a full wave rectifying. There is first this coil which permits to have a decoupling. The secondary will be used for the generation of the DC power supply, which is here, and the filtered power supply here, but it is also used to generate a reference frequency of 800 Hz. For that purpose, there is this LC network here, which permits to have a resonant frequency at 800 Hz. The coil is this one here. I have measured an inductance of 300 millihenries approximately. This AC voltage is fed to this transformer, which permits to have on the secondary side an AC voltage with an impedance which will be suitable for the load of this transformer. We will see later. On this board, one tantalum capacitor was short-circuited. It is this one. I think this capacitor was destroyed when I first powered this thing. I think that the AC voltage on the primary side of this transformer was something like 150 volts instead of 115. So I have replaced this capacitor by two capacitors of 10 microfarads. You can see on this board. These are these two capacitors. I didn't solder yet these capacitors. The rest of the schematics is located on the second board, which is the slaving amplifier board. On the left, there is the slaving control transformer. The stator E, F, and G is connected to the compass. The signal on the rotor is fed to this capacitor, as expected. This capacitor is located on the power supply board, actually. This is this capacitor here. I thought at the beginning that it was a filtering capacitor, but actually it is not the case. As you can see, it is 39 nanofarads, 100 volts. I think that the capacitor is more or less accurate. I don't know the tolerance of the dead code 75. This capacitor permits to have a resonant frequency close to 800 Hz. As we have seen in my previous video, the resonant frequency was 770 Hz. Then this voltage is fed to the amplifier itself, which is here. This amplifier has two input stages and one power stage here. So the two input stages are more or less identical. There is one NPN transistor. The base is polarized using this diode here and this resistor connected to the power supply. Then the voltage is amplified. The collector is connected to this transformer with also a capacitor which permits to have resonant frequency also close to 800 Hz. So this permits to increase the gain. And you can see that there is also this voltage limiter. So the capacitor is charged at a DC voltage which corresponds to the mean value here. And when the peak-to-peak voltage at this point is above 0.7 volts, this diode will be conductive. This capacitor will permit to reduce the impedance at this point, and the gain decreases. So there is a kind of voltage limiter at this point. The second stage is identical. There is the same circuit with the diode which polarizes the second transistor with this resistor. And there is also another capacitor here which permits to have resonant frequency with the inductance of this transformer. And there is also a feedback generated by this resistor. So then the output stage is built with these two transistors here. The bases of these two transistors are supplied with the voltage of the secondary side of this transformer. But you can see that there is a middle point, and this middle point is connected to the 800 Hz reference signal. When the system is stabilized, the error voltage is null, so there is no voltage across these windings. In that case, each base are supplied with this AC voltage at 800 Hz, and I assume that the AC voltage is below the threshold of the transistor is something maybe like 0.5 volt or something like that, so nothing happens, both transistors are open. But when there is an error voltage, depending on the phase of the error voltage, one transistor or the other one will be conductive, and there will be a DC current which flows into one winding, this one or the other one. So this is the sliding torque motor. So this permits to modify the precession of the gyroscope and to provide a rotation of the gyro. The gyro will rotate in order to reduce the error voltage, and the precession will cease when the error voltage is 0. In that case, the gyroscope is slaved to the compass. This is a simple circuit which uses only 4 transistors. So we can see also on the bottom of this page the supply of the AC motor of the gyro. So there is one capacitor, as we have seen, but also this inductor, which is the inductor we can see on the rear of this instrument. This is this inductor here. And the capacitor is this one here. What we will do next time is to supply this instrument. I will inject at this point an AC voltage which comes from a function generator. The first input at 400 Hz will be used for the power supply here through an amplifier, and the second output, which would be synchronized to the first one with a variable phase, will be used as the input signal here. So first we will check that effectively we have a movement of the gyroscope depending on the amplitude and the phase of the signal at this input. After that, it will be possible to connect this indicator to a compass, like this one. I have several ones. This one is an example of compass. It should be also possible to connect a compensator. This is something like that. So inside there is just potentiometers and a few resistors. So this permits to give some DC currents which flows into compensator coils, which are also inside this instrument. So this permits to compensate the static magnetic fields which are closed to the compass and due to the aircraft itself. So this will be done on the next episode, and I think the last one concerning this instrument. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.